All Indiana Politics is your premier source for Indiana politics, focusing on issues that matter to you.
I still want us to be the best in the Midwest.
We can't afford another lockdown.
Give the citizens of this country the relief they need.
Education in the state of Indiana remains priority number one.
In-depth, nonpartisan coverage.
We don't know exactly where the economy will be in January.
People are worried with good reason.
Exclusive interviews with Indiana's political leaders.
We have the resources here in the state of Indiana to care for those who are in need.
Expert analysis on critical legislation.
We need to reform those laws.
This recovery is going to take some time.
We've got to anticipate that there'll be a budget shortfall.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome to another edition of All Indiana Politics. I'm Phil Sanchez. A huge change is coming to Carmel voters next month, who will decide who will succeed Republican Mayor Jim Brainard. He's retiring after 28 years in office. Two members of the Carmel City Council are running to succeed him, Republican Sue Finkam and Democrat Miles Nelson. Our government reporter Garrett Bergquist sat down with both of them, and we begin with Sue Finkam.
Let's bring in Sue Finkam. Sue, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Why are you running for mayor of Carmel?
I'm running for the mayor of Carmel to keep it one of the best places in America. I believe my background and experience, both as a business leader and a community leader, have the best opportunity to do that following Jim Brainard.
You've talked about establishing a mayor's advisory council on public safety. How would that work, and how would that advance the interests of public safety in Carmel?
Hey, my leadership style is all about collaboration and making sure we are working with our fellow law enforcement agencies to make sure we're doing the best job possible for the residents, businesses, visitors to Carmel, and for our law enforcement officers that work in Carmel as well. So the more we're talking, the better we're planning together, the better it is for everybody in our safety record as well.
You've also called for strong alliances with other mayors in the area. What specifically do you have in mind?
Well, I think as long as we have an open line of communication with other mayors, we can collaborate on a wider variety of things, whether it be housing, economic development, branding for the region. Really, the list is endless as far as what we can collaborate on. But again, public safety excellence is top of that pile.
You mentioned economic development in terms of collaborating with the other mayors in this area. How specifically do you see that playing into Carmel's economic development?
Well, first and foremost, I want to make sure that we have an economic development department formed so that we can have someone who is an expert in using data to attract businesses and workforce to our community. There's things we can learn from and collaborate with our partners on, and I want to make sure we're at the table for those conversations. You know, when site selectors are looking for a business to move, they look regionally, then locally, and then hyper-local. So we don't really compete, if at all, until the very end of a project. And so we all win if a project comes to Central Indiana, and I want to make sure we're talking about how to capture as much economic development in our region as possible.
How do you plan to pay down Carmel's debt? It's currently about $1.5 billion.
Well, $1.5 billion perhaps, but it's not all it's not all for Carmel taxpayers to pay. Over a third of that is for developers to pay that we are not on the hook for at all. But our debt is currently scheduled and being paid down now as we talk. So we'll keep doing more of the same, bringing in economic development that pays our bills.
Did Carmel take on a little too much debt there?
I don't believe Carmel took on too much debt. We invested in our future, and it's paying off. If you look at the quality of environment we have, both the transportation network and the built environment we have, we are a destination city, and I think our investments in transportation and infrastructure is paying off.
Tell me about your plan to implement Safe Streets for All or something similar.
You know, so we've got this incredible transportation network with roundabouts. We're having more traffic because we have more density, and we have people who want to have a little bit more certainty on when they can cross the street, making sure that when they're walking a dog or pushing a stroller, or if they perhaps have a disability of some kind, that they have certainty on when they can cross at roundabouts. So there are programs out there like Safe Streets that allow for education for the public, as well as infrastructure changes, and so I want to look at that.
Would temporary or possibly even permanent street closures, such as what we're seeing in Indianapolis with Spark on the Circle, come into play here?
I think we'd have to really look at a lot of data before we did a street closure. There's also data out there that says when you do street closures, it hurts businesses, so I'd want to look carefully at that before we pull the trigger on anything like that.
Your opponent has criticized your response to the Moms for Liberty newsletter that had a quote from Adolf Hitler on it. Why did it take you so long to denounce that, and why did you not do so at the debate earlier in October?
Let me be clear. I did denounce the use of the quote immediately after it happened. I also denounced the quote on the stage of the debate. In fact, I've denounced this quote 4 times publicly. My opponent keeps bringing this up because he has nothing else to talk about. He has no plan, he has no experience, and he's made no impact as a city councilor. I've been a strong supporter of our schools as a mom and a city councilor, and as mayor, I'll continue to be that.
But what about the group Moms for Liberty more broadly?
I have no affiliation with them, so I don't know what else is to tell you other than that I've denounced the quote, and it's not part of my program going forward.
What's one issue that we haven't talked about that you believe is not getting enough attention in this race?
Crime prevention. You know, our crime numbers in Carmel are rising. We have concerns about the situation with public safety in neighboring cities around Carmel. We need a strong leader who's got the support of the FOP in particular to make sure that they can have a partner in making sure that their lives are protected through training, through education, through equipment, and that we protect the lives of our citizens as well. We are not talking enough about crime prevention. It is the #1 topic in my platform.
Do you see this as more of an issue of crime being homegrown within the city limits of Carmel, or more so spilling over from other cities, such as Indianapolis in particular?
Well, 83% of the arrests that we have come from outside of Carmel. So I'd say it's a problem outside of Carmel, but we have to deal with it. Our budget moving forward has 5 additional officers. It impacts our quality of life, it impacts our budget, and it impacts our brand. So we have to deal with this. This is my #1 issue.
What makes you the best candidate for this job?
Experience, first and foremost, as a business leader. I've had 30 years growing businesses, setting strategies, and helping companies grow. I've had 30 years of advocating for people as employees and as for citizens of Carmel, and I've got a plan. My opponent's not talking about a plan, and residents want certainty that the person's going to be leading the $200 million budget, 700-person employee corporation moving forward is capable of doing so, and so that is the #1 differentiator.
All right, coming up, we continue our coverage of the Carmel mayor's race with Democrat Miles Nelson. And welcome back. We continue our coverage of the race to succeed Carmel Mayor Jim Brainard. Let's hear now from Democratic candidate Miles Nelson.
Let's welcome in Miles Nelson. Miles, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you, Garrett. I appreciate being here.
So why are you running for mayor of Carmel?
This is our forever home, and I, want to keep the community moving forward. And Mayor Brainard, who's been a mentor of mine and a personal friend over these last 4 years, has built a dynamic city, a beacon of light to other cities around the country and frankly around the world. And I want to keep this city moving forward. That's why I'm running.
You've called for increased transparency from city officials. What form might that take?
I'm calling for this because I hear it at the doors. I've knocked on over 15,000 doors, and people say that oftentimes they don't know what's happening in city government or what projects are being proposed until there's a shovel in the ground. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have mobile city halls where my department heads and I will be meeting with communities, neighborhoods around the city, meeting at their HOA meetings, meeting in their neighborhoods, answering their questions, letting them know what's happening.
What sort of infrastructure investments can we expect from you? You've brought that up as well.
We've already done some amazing things. Mayor Brainard has been just a leader in this, but we are going to continue to be focusing on roads. We're going to continue to be focusing on our fiber network because not only is people's physical safety going to be a top priority of mine, but I also want to make sure that their identities and the city's data is also protected as well.
How would you pay down Carmel's debt? It's currently sitting at about $1.5 billion.
Any elected official, any business owner, any homeowner should be focused on this debt. But what I'll tell you is that we generate enough revenue to pay off our annual operating budget, to pay down our debt service, and also comfortably fill our rainy day fund. I will tell people watching that Carmel is extraordinarily strong financially. And thanks to Mayor Brainard, and thanks to the City Council, we have been watching our dollars carefully and making smart investments in our infrastructure, but also in the quality of life
You've spoken of building an inclusive, environmentally friendly community. What would that entail?
Not only are we going to be focused on using technology to make incredible enhancements that will protect our environment, but also doing kind of the down and dirty traditional things, planting trees, picking up trash, making sure that we take care of the White River. All of these different things will continue to add to the high quality of life in our community. And I will make sure that we include green spaces, and where there aren't any, we're going to be putting them in, little micro forests, so people can have an opportunity to sit under a tree, read a book.
This summer, you were among the first to denounce the use of a quote by Adolf Hitler in a newsletter circulated by the group Moms for Liberty. Your opponent did denounce that quote after about 5 days or so, yet you are still calling her out over it. Why is that?
Not only did they quote Adolf Hitler in their first newsletter, Moms for Liberty Hamilton County also attacked our kids at Carmel High School, the very ones from the LGBTQ club that put on the Pride event. It happens to be one of our largest outdoor events of the year, and it's also one of our most financially successful ones too. But Moms for Liberty, in addition to quoting Hitler, which is always a bad thing, attack the kids. I'm an adult. My opponent's an adult. I frankly don't care what attacks they've made to either of us, but attacking our kids, that's a red line. And so I denounced Moms for Liberty as being a hate group. I denounced them for quoting Adolf Hitler, and I denounced them for attacking our kids. I asked my opponent to do the same thing. She denounced the quote for Hitler, which, was just kind of a sideshow to me.
What makes you the best candidate for this job?
I think that's easy. First of all, it's my years of executive leadership as a business owner. I've owned a number of companies. I've built, managed, and successfully sold 2 companies. I happen to do an executive search company now called AOI, where I help companies around the state and around the country find their most senior leadership. I've served on boards at an executive level and helped raise money and create missions for these groups. If it was for the Indianapolis Public School Foundation, or the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, or the Child Advocates, which is the Marion County CASA. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I serve on city council, happen to be, as I had mentioned, the first Democrat. I've proven and learned how to work across the aisle to get things done. I care about maintaining our quality of life and making sure that our environment is wonderful and that we continue to attract business opportunities, not just for young people, but for all people. I want to make sure senior citizens, can continue to contribute to our community. That's what makes me the best candidate.
All right, coming up, our panel tackles the search for a new House Speaker and President Biden's call for aid to Israel and Ukraine. Welcome back to All Indiana Politics as we welcome in 2 members of Indiana's best political team, Republican Allie Bartlett, and the newest member of our team, Democrat strategist and Speaker Dana Black. Good to see you both. Let's begin with President Joe Biden's speech on Israel from Thursday. Dana, we'll go to you first. How does President Biden balance supporting Israel with maintaining good relationships with other partners in that region, such as Jordan and Egypt?
Well, good day, everybody, and thank you so much for including me in this fantastic conversation. First of all, if you noticed in his speech last night, or in his speech, he made it a point to say that there's a need to make sure that we look at both the Palestinians and the Israelis as equals. Now, this war has been waging for over 100 years because of colonialism and other factors that were at play. But here we are now, and we have 2 groups of people who definitely feel strongly about who they are and their existence. And I thought this president, our president, did the best job I have seen in a very long time in making sure that he acknowledged the struggles on both sides. When we acknowledge the struggle on both sides, there's a way for us to come to the middle and find some commonality and find a way to resolve this issue so that all of humanity is seen and not just one side or the other.
Ali, same question to you. I'll let you respond to that.
Yeah, I would say the only line that was even acceptable out of that speech was that we should unequivocally be standing behind our ally Israel. To try and justify the atrocities that have happened in Israel since October 7th is just pretty despicable to me. And the fact that President Biden seems to be using this speech to draw on the heartstrings of Americans that are supporting Israel to justify money that he is going to be sending back to Ukraine. I don't even know why we're talking about those things in the same context. They're not the same context. Israel has been our longtime ally. The two conflicts are completely different. And what he's doing here is he is trying to make up for problems that he caused with his weakness in Afghanistan, sending money to Iran, the leader of these terrorist groups. And the one thing that he should have done with this speech, even, with all the other failures, the one thing he should have done is lay out some explicit, clear consequences, and he didn't do that.
I have a lot to get to today, so we got to move on. But closer to home, the U.S. House of Representatives still without a speaker today. Republicans dropped Jim Jordan as the speaker nominee after 3 unsuccessful floor votes. Ali, after what we've seen so far, is there any chance that Republicans will unite around someone? And who's really left?
Yeah, they're going to have to unite around someone. And I think what needs to be done right now, we need to remember that the work here is not picking a speaker. The work to be done in the U.S. House of Representatives right now is legislation. I think Dan Crenshaw said something similar to that in an interview the other day. I think what they need to do right now is pass something that lets the pro tem have a little bit more power for the time being so that we can focus on the budget. There's a November 17th deadline looming. They need to focus on the real work at hand. I do think they're going to rally around someone. What they need to do is figure that out on their own time on the political side, and I think that's what they will do. They want to get this right, clearly.
I want to bring Dana. I want to bring Dana in now because I have a lot. Again, I have a lot to get to. So, Dana, there's some talk among both Democrats and Republicans, to Ali's point, that giving interim Speaker Patrick McHenry temporary power to move some legislation. Indiana's Jim Banks and Victoria Sparks both say they're against this. Would that set a good or a bad precedent, in your opinion?
First of all, the Republicans have shown they have no ability to govern whatsoever. Nancy Pelosi had the similar margin, and she was able to pass bipartisan legislation. These guys in the Congress right now, all they are disruptors. I question whether or not this is not a part of a bigger plan. I question whether or not this is not going according to plan. A lot of their goals, Matt Gaetz and the rest of them, they wanted to shut down the government a long time ago. Without a speaker, that means no legislation can get done, and the government will shut down. So, yeah, it may look like chaos, but it also may be organized chaos. These folks do not know how to govern. They don't want to govern, and it looks like they're moving right along, following their God, and making sure that nothing gets accomplished in Washington right now.
Well, we'll stay on top of it. Hopefully something does get done, because clearly things are a mess right now. Tomorrow night.
Can I just jump in?
Go ahead, really quickly.
Say that I would like to note that this whole catastrophe started because the Democrats went against Kevin McCarthy, who was simply negotiating with them.
That's
and
normal.
If they hadn't done that, we wouldn't be here.
All right, hey, listen,
That's
tomorrow
normal.
night, which
That's
TV
normal.
will host the first live televised debate in the Indianapolis mayor's race? The polls so far give incumbent Mayor Joe Hogsett the lead. Dana, what will Hogsett need to do tomorrow night to maybe maintain or even build that lead? About 30 seconds to each of you. Go ahead, Dana.
I think he needs to talk about our values. We are Democrats in this city. We believe in democratic values and progressive values. We do not want our city ran like the State House. If he hits on how he was going to allow Indianapolis, the economic hub of our entire state, to continue to thrive as a democratic city, I think he'll be fine, because we do not want in Indianapolis those Republican values that are being ran in the State House, like anti-reproductive health, anti-LGBTQ plus legislation. We don't want that in our city. And as long as he keeps highlighting what we do want and what we have voted against overwhelmingly over the last couple of election cycles, I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah, Ali, close us out. 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think what anyone looking to be successful in this race could do is take a page out of the book of Carmel mayoral candidate Sue Finkam, who is thinking about business and not politics. I think when people talk about economic development and success, that's where we need to be focused and not playing politics like the opponent in Carmel and like a lot of other candidates are doing.
And you can watch that debate tomorrow night right here at 6 o'clock on Wish TV. Good to see you both. Again, Dana, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thank you. I love being here, and I look forward to robust debates about how we move our state
Always
forward.
A good conversation every Sunday. Allie, Dana, good to see you. Thank you. We'll be back. All right, thank you for joining us for All Indiana Politics this week. We'll be back here next Sunday morning at 9:30. And remember, tune in tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock, for the Indianapolis Mayor's Debate live here on Wish TV. Have a great rest of your weekend.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Watch All Indiana Politics live Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV and at wishtv.com. Subscribe to this podcast and listen weekly here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.